Now, it's more than a month on since the damning final report from the Grenfell Tower inquiry. And today, London's fire chief has said he accepts every recommendation made about its service. 72 people died in the disaster in 2017. Today, Commissioner Andy Roe insisted there had already been huge improvements in training and equipment, but said he worried constantly about another fire on the scale of Grenfell. He spoke to our Home Affairs correspondent, Sonja Jessup.
72 lives lost and every death preventable. The 6-year public inquiry into the Grenfell Tower disaster found it was a result of a chain of failures by governments, dishonest companies and by the fire service, who did not train those on the front line for what they faced.
Do you, on behalf of the LFB, want to offer any kind of apology to residents and to firefighters?
So, obviously, the first phase of the inquiry was entirely focused on the London Fire Brigade. And ever since I took over as Commissioner, I've been really clear that we have to accept our responsibilities in the lead up to that awful tragedy. Like all the other institutions involved in letting the people of the Lancaster West and the residents of Grenfell Tower down, we have to hold ourselves accountable and accept our responsibilities. I've acknowledged publicly that stay put should have been ended earlier that night of the tragedy, but can't say exactly when because of the extremity and the very many different factors that played out that night.
The inquiry's final report found the London Fire Brigade did not learn from the fatal Lakanal house fire 8 years earlier, that senior officers were complacent, that there was a failure to plan for a large number of 999 calls or train staff on what to tell trapped residents. Today, the Fire Commissioner said he accepted all 13 of the report's recommendations, including using digital radios, though he says they need to think carefully how they roll that out.
Lots of the big buildings in London, like the Shard, for example, or the Underground network, still rely on analogue boosters for our radios to work, so we can't just shut that off either, and we will need to train digital in. But we agree with the recommendation and we're equipped and ready to deliver that.
The brigade has already met the recommendations made in the inquiry's first report. There are now new taller ladders, smoke hoods to help in evacuations and a change in stay-put advice. But the Commissioner is worried about hundreds of buildings in London still with fire safety issues. In August, a blaze broke out at this tower block in Dagenham, the cause still being investigated.
You said previously we could see another fire on the scale of Grenfell. Is that something that you're still worried about? How worried are you?
I worry constantly about it because, again, if I point to Dagenham only a few weeks ago, that is a block that is effectively 100% engulfed in fire. I've seen firefighters, as I saw with my own eyes on the night of Grenfell, undertake unbelievable acts of heroism to get over 100 people out of that block safely. All the time that situation persists, all the time that I've got 1,300 unremediated buildings in London, I can't relax, and the possibility of a catastrophic fire, a failing building, still exists.
So for people who perhaps are watching this, if they live in a high-rise block, there are safety concerns for their block. I mean, how confident can they be that the fire service would be able to get them out and respond?
They can be confident that our response has fundamentally changed, because we've proved it. We've saved hundreds of lives in the changes to equipment, to policy, to training, to decision making. But truthfully, the only way that we can really return confidence to those residents is to ensure that all those buildings are remediated.
Today, the Mayor said it was right the Fire Brigade had accepted all recommendations and said he'd continue to hold the Commissioner to account. Sonja Jessup, BBC London.